Good afternoon. And I thought I was ready. All right, now it's official. Good afternoon. And welcome to this meeting of the Board of Education. This meeting is being televised live on AACPS TV and streamed on AACPS YouTube channel. The general information and protocols for the meeting are posted on the signs by the doorway as you enter the room. So please make sure you read them if you have not already done so. The invocation. Oh God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies, being ever mindful of your guidance, stir us to actions with love, wisdom, and understanding. And our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2.03, approval of the minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All right, the minutes have been approved and properly second. Item 2.04, establish the agenda order. Can I get a motion to establish the agenda order?
I move to amend today's agenda to add item 6.04, updated terms of employment for Unit 4 employees for the fiscal year 2026.
Second.
We should probably vote on that one.
Ms. Money? Okay.
Ms. Schallheim?
Ms. McFarland's first today.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Mr. Morgan?
Aye.
Ms. Pulliam?
Aye.
Ms. Tobin? Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Ms. McDermott?
Aye.
Mr. Siltworth?
Aye.
Ms. Schallheim?
Aye.
Ms. Dent?
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
All right, motion to approve the amended agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Thank you. All right, and with that,
No, we should vote on that.
okay.
Ms.
Ms. Money.
McFarland.
Aye.
Mr. Morgan.
Aye.
Ms. Pulliam.
Aye.
Dr. Tobin.
Aye.
Ms. McDermott.
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth.
Aye.
Ms. Shawheim.
Aye.
Ms. Dent.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
All right. And with that, we will move on to item 2.05. Okay, we'll start off this month with our educator of the month. That starts off with,
No, I'm a volunteer.
oh, no one picked up this one. That's okay. You're supposed to be Miss Bowling, but that's okay. You got it. That's okay. I'll do it. Never mind. Our educator of the month for the month of March demonstrates exceptional leadership by initiating, developing, and implementing the remarkable systems that has provided and positively impacted our students, staff, and wider community. With grace and tenacity, this educator guided Anne Arundel County Public Schools and Anne Arundel County Community College in their collaboratively creating a streamlined electronic systems for early college access program. Ms. Samantha Wilkerson has driven meaningful change across AACPS, providing a level of customer support that rivals with that of Disney World. She has established weekly drops in office hours for staff members, including teachers, counselors, signature sites coordinators, and support for our principals, creating a welcoming and accessible space to ask questions and receive immediate support. In addition, she has proactively scheduled in-person meetings with each comprehensive high school counselor and her department, as well as a signature site coordinator. Her goal: ensure all staff members have a thorough understanding of the ECAP program and its portal, and equipped with the tools and knowledge that they need to effectively support our students. She led the development of the ECAP website, ensuring it's user-friendly and packed with valuable resources. She's also created an engaging video voiceovers that breaks down complex information in a way that is accessible for all stakeholders. Sam's contributions to the Office of College and Career Readiness and AACPS are second to none. She is the pinnacle of professionalism in every task she undertakes and in every interaction she has with staff, parents, and students. She has also been has a remarkable ability to make each person feel like they are the only one in the room, giving her full attention, empathy, and care. Her presence elevates every space she enters and leaves the lasting impression of all who have the privilege to work with her. Samantha Wilkerson, your creativity, your leadership, and your ability to connect with others continues to enhance and reach the effectiveness of the CCR's mission. For all those reasons, the Board of Education is honored to recognize you as the Educator of the Month for March 2026. Congratulations. So were you surprised?
Yes. I said, oh, there are a lot of people I know here today, like in the audience. Yes.
What amazing thing they told you to get you here?
They said Dr. Hamlin was doing a presentation on CCR topics.
Well, that is kind of true.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we'll stay.
Anything you want to say?
I'm really lucky. I really like my job, and I have an amazing team. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Wow.
Next up is item 2.06, our Employee of the Month.
Thank you, Madam President. Our March 2026 Employee of the Month is described as a miracle worker and our rainbow unicorn because of all the work she does makes things easier for the staff and administration. For example, she manages to find individuals to assist with lunch and recess. She works hard to get classes covered when a teacher needs to be out, and she makes sure that those who are managing extra work get the compensation they deserve without them having to ask for it. This miracle worker is the principal's secretary at Millersville Elementary School, Ms. Denise Claytor. Ms. Claytor truly exhibits outstanding performance in her work with the many hats she wears. She is invested in the school and the community, bringing her many talents with her. There is nothing too mundane or too hard for her. She has formed relationships with families of students and with the staff at Millersville Elementary School, creating a positive working environment that allows families and staff to feel comfortable while she strictly adheres to safety protocols. Though Ms. Claytor is the principal's secretary, if there is a need elsewhere, she is always willing to lend a helping hand. She can often be seen escorting students to their classroom, helping with lunchtime, or welcoming students in the hallway during morning arrival. She is the face of Millersville community. She is the face the Millersville community knows and trusts. Ms. Claytor, you are always willing to help whenever it is needed. Your sense of humor, even on the most stressful days, is welcome, as is your cheerful smile and friendliness. When we think about polishing the apple, Ms. Claytor's apple shines daily. For all these reasons, the Board of Education recognizes you as the Employee of the Month for March 2026. Please come forward and congratulations. So, first thing I need to know is, how did they get you here?
They told me it was for my reading teacher.
Oh, okay. And who do you have here?
My husband, our professional school counselor, a reading teacher, my assistant principal that is not with us. She's moved to another school. My mother, my Aunt Laura, my cousin Kelly, my best friend Donna, my granddaughter Queenie, and my best friend.
Oh. Well, you are obviously well loved and deserve every bit of it. So we have for you this plaque
Thank you.
and this certificate. So why don't let's hold this. There you go.
I'm not a very good smiler.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm also going to give you this little piece that they wrote about you.
Okay.
And we'll see you out front for pictures after the break.
Okay, thank you.
you.
All right, next up is item 2.07, Volunteer of the Month.
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" This month's Volunteer of the Month answers that question through consistent service, quiet leadership, and a deep commitment to students and school community. He's not just a volunteer. He is a steady and trusted presence within his school. It is an immense honor to recognize Pastor Chris Martin as our March Volunteer of the Month. I can't hear it. Oh, wow. Okay. Pastor Chris Martin is a proud retired Chief Master Sergeant of the United States Air Force, a former student of the MacArthur Middle School. He has returned to his alma mater as a substitute teacher, mentor, and volunteer, dedicating his time and talents to supporting students in a meaningful way. Pastor Chris embodies what it means to serve with purpose and dedication. He mentors students, including leading a male mentorship group that he helps young men build character and confidence. He supports military-connected students through the Purple Star Club and works closely with staff, always willing to lend a listening ear, a helping hand, or words of encouragement. If you spend time at MacArthur Middle School, you will see Pastor Chris everywhere. From supporting students during the school day to attending athletics events in the evening, he cheers students on, checks on those who may need extra support, and consistently shows students that they are seen and valued. Pastor Chris's service extends beyond the school day through fundraisers and service projects that support youth programs and student needs across multiple schools. Whatever he takes on, he commits to fully, often going beyond what is asked simply because he knows it will benefit students. What makes Pastor Chris truly special is not just the time he gives, but the way he gives it. He serves with kindness, faith, and genuine belief that every student's potential. His generosity, spirit uplifts students, staff, and families alike, and his impact is felt beyond the school building. Pastor Chris Martin, MacArthur Middle School, and the entire Anne Arundel County schools community are blessed to have you, such a dedicated volunteer, and we thank you for your service. Will you please come forward with great appreciation that I present this Volunteer of the Month certificate?
Look at my team.
I know. Wait. So how did they get you here?
Coach Pickens said, "Oh, we're gonna talk about the Purple Star program, and I want you to talk about it anyway."
You were and everyone's just smiling at you.
Praise God. This is so good. Thank you all so
God is
much.
good.
Such an honor.
God is
Dr.
good.
Durham, thank you so much. Amen.
I am giving you this bell
Oh.
and this award right here. We can take a picture. I'm so happy.
As am I. Thank
God
you.
is good. God
All
is
the
good.
time.
All the time.
God is good. All the time. That's my team. That's my crew. Steven.
I know, but you gotta say all the time. You can't just say part one.
All the time.
Right, you gotta say God is good.
He said all the time.
No, and then you say all the time. And then say God is good. All right, this is absolutely our favorite part of the meetings, and so we really appreciate you. So right now, we're gonna take a break, and we're gonna go out and take a few pictures, and we'll come back in and start the second portion of the meeting. Thank you. All right, and welcome back. Today, the board will hear in-person and virtual public comments on the agenda and non-agenda items per the board agenda. This process has already begun and we have one person signed up for non-agenda items. Is he here? Yes, good. First up is Matthew Hefferman. Yeah, he said don't read the long, right? We don't read the long, right?
Hi. Do I need to do anything to this microphone or can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Members of the board, Madam President, and Dr. Okay. Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I signed up for two items. They're related, and so if it's okay, I'll mush them together because really I'm just here to ask questions and yield back my time to hopefully receive some answers. I'm here on behalf of three separate youth sports organizations. I am the president of Broadneck Baseball and Softball Club, a Little League and travel sports program that services over 700 families in the Broadneck area. I am the managing director of TGA, which is Tennis, Golf, and Athletics, a youth sports organization for golf and racket sports. And I am a member of the advocacy team for Play Annapolis, which is a nonprofit dedicated towards expanding access to sports for underprivileged communities. My questions, one is I'm here to ask, what is the responsibility of board members to respond to members of their constituency who reach out to them with questions? Because my second question is something that I have been asking my board member for about 2 years. And I was receiving answers initially, and then I stopped receiving answers. And in my last 4 attempts for some sort of update on this topic, I didn't receive anything. And my question becomes, almost 2 years ago, this body voted to expand community use of school facilities for athletics and STEM activities. And I don't believe we've received any guidance from the executive team about how to move forward with that. I haven't seen anything and I haven't heard anything. And so as it relates to all three of these organizations wanting to expand our ability to provide youth sports, we'd like to know, are we going to have some answers on that? Are we going to receive a timeline on that? Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public comments. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we have one virtual, Miss Muriel Farmer, Transportation Policies, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Fantastic. Hi, thanks to all in the room and beyond who do service for our county and for our students and for taking the time to hear my comment. I'm Morel Farmer. I'm a grateful resident of Anne Arundel County and parent of an Anne Arundel County student. And today I'm bringing a non-agenda public comment related to transportation. Excuse me. On Tuesday, August 26th of 2025, this school year, the second day of the school year, the bus dropped off our 6-year-old son along with 3 other 6-year-olds on the shoulder of Ritchie Highway in Severna Park with no adults present. There is no sidewalk there and cars travel in excess of 50 miles per hour, often driving on the shoulder. When one of the children expressed concern about disembarking the bus, they were asked to get off the bus. We were informed there are no cameras installed on the bus at the time. The children then walked roughly 50 meters through a busy parking lot to get to their aftercare. And just 3 years ago, a grown man was struck and killed by a car on the same shoulder and stretch of Ritchie Highway. The reason I'm here today is to share my concern that there doesn't appear to be anything in the current bus policy or regulations that would prevent this from happening again to other children in the county. There may be many extenuating circumstances that might cause an adult or caretaker to not be able to meet their young child at a bus stop. In our particular case, we weren't informed of the change in stop. So with the summer coming up, I would love to see the Board and Policy Committee revisit the current transportation policies and regulations as an agenda item to provide better safeguards, taking into consideration either the age of the children and or the speed of the traffic for circumstances when an adult cannot be present to meet their child. I would love to see that prioritized as an agenda item before the coming school year. I thank you truly for your time in hearing my comment and for your service to our students and to our county. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes public comments. As a reminder, anyone that would like questions and answers, you can please email the board office, or you can give your written documents to Ms. Howe or Ms. Money. Thank you.
Yes, just one sec. All right, so the policy committee convened yesterday afternoon where we spoke about policy JECB, storage and use of naloxone or other overdosing reversing medications. This policy will come before us at an upcoming meeting, as will the other policy we discussed, which is a new policy, JV, personal care and toileting. Both were passed out of committee yesterday. We also spoke about those accompanying regulations. I'd like to thank everyone, all the staff that were on the call that answered our questions yesterday, very much appreciated. And then for discussion, just by way of history, we tabled on third reader last summer policy JAB, assignment and transfer of students to a school. It was tabled pending more discussion that would occur during committee. It's been months and months. We finally saw that policy back for discussion, but no accompanying regulations were with that policy, and so we're going to hold until we see regulations for JABRA, assignment of and transfer of students to a school. And that's it. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ms. Shawhan. Next up is the President's Report. Mine is item 4.2. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Over the past several weeks, I've had the privilege of representing our board and engaging with communities across Anne Arundel County. Each event has reminded me of the tremendous talent, passion, and dedication that defines our students, staff, families, and partners. I had the honor of attending the Science National Honor Society induction ceremony and served as a guest judge for the Science Expo at Meade High School. I was joined by Fort Meade Garrison Commander Colonel Yolanda Gore and County Council President Julie Hummer. And together we witnessed an inspirational celebration of scientific curiosity and academic excellence. From storm chasers to adopting the baby turpin to hands-on exploration of fruit DNA, I was truly impressed by the creativity, knowledge, and enthusiasm displayed by our students. Their presentations demonstrated not just scientific understanding, but the confidence and leadership we work so hard to cultivate across AACPS. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Ms. McAllister and to everyone who helped make that event meaningful and successful. I also had the privilege of attending the Phoenix Academy's Black History Month celebration. This program was powerful, uplifting, and deeply reflective of our shared commitment to honor heritage and inspire the next generations. And part of the theme that happened is a young man that, for no other reason, could have his life and his trajectory of his life could have been redirected in another path, but he chose to use his talent of music, and he gave us a beautiful rendition of just a soul stirring a change is going to come, and there was no dry eye in the room. And so I don't know who was his mentor, but I can say that what Phoenix Academy has done, as I share with Dr. Vidal, is not only inspirational, but just to see the happiness that goes on in that building and the happiness that went on that day, it warmed my heart. And so thank you to all the elected officials that attended and all the staff and the vendors that made this event a huge success for everyone that was in attendance. Ms. McDermott and Ms. Shawheim had the wonderful opportunity to serve as judges for Region 3 Public Speaking Leadership Development event at Southern High School. It was not only an exciting warm-up to the state FFA competition, but this event is one of FFA's signature leadership experiences designed to strengthen students' confidence, communication skills, and the agricultural literacy. The competition brought together talented students from across our district, as well as from Howard and Prince George counties. Participants showcased their skills in prepared public speaking, extemporaneous speaking, job interview, and their creed. Each event highlighted poise, quick thinking, and deep agricultural knowledge. Not only was it an inspiring afternoon, but it demonstrated how powerful our future farmers of America prepare students to lead, advocate, and speak with this purpose. Which brings us to the day that I'd love to highlight. That is the AACPS FFA students participated in Maryland FFA Day in Annapolis, joining chapters from across the state for a day of leadership development and civic learning. The event began at the Calvert House and included guided tours of the State House, an opportunity to observe legislative sessions, and a meeting with Maryland lawmakers. Thank you to Delegate Seth Howard for him not only recognizing our students on the floor of the General Assembly, but an acknowledgement of what that meant a great deal to each of them, and it affirms the value of their advocacy and their agricultural experience. So thank you to Delegate Seth Howard. Our Vice President, Ms. Pulliam, attended the Southern High School FFA Service Project, where students partnered with Rise Against Hunger to pack over 20,000 meals for children experiencing food insecurities worldwide. These students raised $8,500 from community funds to supply this food and organized an entire packing event. This is something to be applauded for our students. More than 100 of them from various leadership clubs participated, celebrated each milestone, and hit a gong every time 1,000 meals was packed. This effort powerfully demonstrated the National FFA motto, living to serve. During the National FFA Week, this was their day of service, and I can't be more proud of the work that went on at Southern High School. Additionally, I, along with Dr. Joanna Tobin, attended a special performance at world-renowned saxophonist Branford Marsalis at Maryland Hall. Beyond the artistry of the event highlighted the strength of the long-standing partnership with Maryland Hall. And I must say, they commended over and over the partnership with AACPS and just how much it meant for this board to allow them to enter into a 15-year agreement that is going to change not only the image of and renovations that they need, but going to give them the opportunity to continue collaboration and invest in the arts education. But it also provides our students with meaningful culture and creative enrichment. We look forward to expanding this partnership and increasing access to arts throughout our school community. So thank you, Dr. Tobin, for not only inviting Kenneth and I, but for us joining in a wonderful evening at Maryland Hall. Thank you. And next up, we will have a wonderful update from our student member of the board, Mr. Braden Morgan.
Thank you, Madam President. Since the last board meeting, I've made it to a good amount of events across the county, but both the events I want to share today were at Arundel, which I frequent, and I'm always so excited to be a Wildcat to the point where they keep joking and telling me to just transfer over. But after the Arundel Wild Chats event on February 26th, it was impossible to not feel the welcoming Wildcat pride. This event consisted of 8 speakers from the Arundel Business Honor Society, which contained 6 students and 2 teachers. These leaders had 7 minutes to speak, and when I tell you they made the most out of every second, I mean it. From Julia talking about her empowering story with celiac disease, Pat displaying how he found balance to overcome anxiety from his impressive workload, and Ashley's powerful story of overcoming jealousy. I'm willing to admit I did let a tear or two slip. But I wasn't the only one. With Miss Ray's story about turning grief into change and welcoming others, it became clear that she is a role model for these students' passions. I could go on for hours and hours about those 4, and when we would be here all night if you threw in Neo's entrepreneurship, Lena's networking, Dr. Dupree's leadership, and Garion's humorous display, which I believe had captivated the entire auditorium with laughter. Seeing him coincidentally at dinner about 2 hours later, he summarized the event perfectly, and he just said, "Man, that was fun." And so thank you again to the entirety of the Arundel Business Honor Society, which is led by Mr. Stephen Metzger, who was selected by Cash Campaign of Maryland, Maryland Council on Economic Education, and MSDE as a 2026 High School Teacher Award winner in the Financial Education Program. And big shout out to Kira for helping me out with all these photos and everything. And, out of all the events I have been to, this one is genuinely high up there on the list of favorites and, inspiration. And I hope this event continues to grow and get the recognition it truly, truly deserves. I can't believe I get to say I represent these leaders of students, or in other words, as my man Garion would say, to business. As I've said before, nobody can keep me away from Wildcat territory. I happen to find myself alongside Dr. Tobin on Saturday, February 28th at the Engineering and Science Expo for Arundel, which I believe was also attended by Miss McDermott. This was yet another eye-opening event for me. As Dr. Tobin and I walked around, we were able to hear these students explain their projects, and I was heavily concerned with the amount of students who were inventing new words that morning. In all seriousness, these students are innovative thinkers that have clearly put great care into their projects. Another awesome note of the event's success is that the number of high school participants has doubled in just 1 year. And with the amount of dedication and thought they've put towards this project, I like to give, a huge shout out to all the students and the team behind this. The clear growth in this program would not be possible without you all. Now, today, March 4th, is Spread the Word Day, but instead of me telling you what that means, I'd rather just kick it to the experts.
At our school, there's always room for one more.
And everyone deserves a place where they belong.
So today we're setting the table for something important.
You're welcome at our table.
And if you're looking for a place to sit, you're welcome here.
If you feel different, you're welcome here.
If you're new or just need a friend, you're welcome here.
Our table is for everyone. Because inclusion and unified means no one sits alone.
Let's fill every table with belonging, because in our district, everyone is welcome at our table. This Wednesday is Spread the Word Day, and we're challenging all of our schools at AACPS to share how they welcome everyone to the table.
Share photos or videos on your school's social media pages to show how you're welcoming everyone at the table and to show that everyone belongs.
I cannot be more proud to be a part of, let alone to say that I started, that amazing group of students. It's been a dream come true. And so thank you to the Unified Student Council for spreading this important message. In honor of the change we've been able to make, I would like to encourage everyone to spread the word. And if you have not already, welcome someone new to your table.
Wow, can't top that, can we? So today is Spread the Word Day. So just remember that the instructions is if you snap it, take it, post it. All right. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see the light. Dr. Tobin.
Yes, I would just like to briefly and a day late wish our student member of the board, Mr. Braden Morgan, a very happy birthday.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday. What are you turning 17?
Yeah.
All right. In closing, The board members and I truly appreciate the opportunity to engage in a meaningful discussion with County Exec Stuart Pittman and his staff about our district's budget priorities and the ongoing needs for our students and staff. We remain hopeful that the upcoming budget will continue to support the critical programs, services, and resources that our school rely on. We look forward to a budget that reflects our shared commitment to ensuring every student and every teacher in Anne Arundel County has the tools and the opportunities necessary to belong, grow, and succeed. Each of these moments, whether it's celebrating academic achievement, honoring the cultural heritage, engaging in budget conversations, or spotlighting the arts, captures the heart of who we are as not only an individual, but as a school system. We are a community committed to uplifting students, broadening opportunities, and ensuring that every child is inspired to reach their fullest potential. And with that, that concludes the president's report. Next up, we'll have the superintendent's report. Dr. Bedell.
Thank you, Madam President. Is it possible to go back to the Branford Marcellus slide real quick? Just real quick. My report is very short, so I figure I have a minute or two to. Okay, so I didn't get an opportunity because I was out of town. I really wanted to attend this gathering that they put on, but I was just sitting here looking at the screen, and you all know how I am. I'm looking at this man's suit and his tie and that combo, and it is just a beautiful combo. So, Dr. Tobin, you probably were there. You were probably there. I wish I could have met him to ask him where he got that from, and then probably would have found out that I can't afford it. But anyhow, I'm happy that they are doing this partnership with our students in our school district, and it means the world to me. So now we can fast forward. All right, so I just have 2 items, so we will get into those items right now. First one was, it was a pleasure to be joined by several board members and members of our Education Foundation last Thursday, as we had an opportunity to surprise the 7 finalists for the 2026 Teacher of the Year Award. This is always one of my favorite days of the year because we get to reward great instruction at all levels of our school district. I look forward to the announcement of the 2026 Teacher of the Year on April 24th. And then finally, I have a script here, but there's one thing I want to say outside of the script. And I'm extremely proud of every single one of our high schools. And there are some high schools that are not named on here, but I want to name them before I do my actual script. Meade, Glen Burnie, Old Mill. For those of you who don't know how this honor roll works with advanced placement, all of these schools have to earn at least an award in all 3 categories. Those categories are college culture, college credit, college optimization. All of our high schools, with the exception of Severn Run, because it just opened up, have earned some level of honor that tells me that we're doing a really good job in this area, and our data is really supporting it. At our principals meeting last week, we did have the chance to recognize 10 high schools that have earned places on the College Board's AP School Honor Roll. This is a national distinction that celebrates schools for expanding access to advanced placement coursework while supporting student success. Congratulations to Crofton High School for becoming our first Platinum Honor Roll school, and to the other 9 schools you see on the screen for their tremendous work in this area. Our efforts to eliminate the gatekeeping mentality are being reflected not only in places like this honor roll list, but more importantly in our data. You all know that I'm a data guy, so I want to share a few numbers to the community. From 2021 through 2022, that's the year before I arrived, through last year, enrollment for all AP students increased nearly 44.8%. However, enrollment of African American students increased by 99.5%, and that of Hispanic students rose to 80.9%. And that of students receiving free and reduced price meals rose 114.9% in the same period. And the number of exams with scores of 3 or higher is going up as well. In that same time period, we've seen increases of 71.3% for all students, 180.7% for African American students, 202.3% for Hispanic students, and 121.9% for students receiving free and reduced price meals. This is critical work for us, and I'm very pleased at both the efforts we are making and the successes we are seeing. I will also make mention of this. These trends are not just isolated to advanced placement. You see similar trends with IB, and you see similar trends with the work that we're doing around dual enrollment, dual credit success. And so, again, I am very thankful to everyone involved in this work, from those in central office to those at the school levels and to the parents who have all bought into this and having conversations with our students around the importance of taking advantage of these type of courses, because ultimately it will save them in tuition costs when it is time for those who choose to go to college to go. Madam President, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bedell. What an amazing report. I am truly glad to see everything that you talked about. The only question that I did have, I see no other light, so I'll just ask my question, is that you spoke about Severn Run not being having any kind of college program. So I know it's a new school, but what is there like a timeline that we can expect that, or how does that work?
Generally, schools have to, last year was a baseline year for them. So College Board's not going to have any data to put out a report on how they're progressing in those three areas. What I can tell you in my visit over there, it was absolutely beautiful. What I went and saw in classes, the diversity one was just amazing. But they actually have a very robust program over there. It's just that it's just like when you bring in a new state assessment, you have a baseline year, the data really is not reportable. And in this state, in order for Severn Run to even have MCAP or end of course count, I think they have to be on for 2 to 3 years before the data even goes live. So the same thing applies with these types of national awards.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up is item 5, consent of awards to contract.
I motion to bundle 5.
Sorry.
Okay. I motion to bundle 5.01 through 5.03.
Second.
Dr. Bedell.
Thank you, Madam President. The superintendent recommends that the Board of...
Sorry to interrupt. We need to have a vote or
all
a
right.
consensus before we proceed. Thank you. Would you like to do a vote?
Yes.
Okay. So this is to bundle items 5.01 through 5.03. Ms. McFarland? Aye. Mr. Morgan?
Aye.
Ms. Pulliam?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Ms. McDermott?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Ms. Schalheim?
Aye.
Ms. Dent?
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Dr. Bedell.
Okay, Madam President, the superintendent recommends that the Board of Education authorize the award of contracts on the consent items 5.01 through 5.03.
Moved. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, Ms. Howell.
Ms. McFarland? Aye. Mr. Morgan?
Aye.
Ms. Pulliam?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Ms. McDermott?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Ms. Schalheim?
Aye.
Ms. Dent?
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
All right, next up is item 6, action items, item 6.01, administrative personnel appointments. Dr. Bedell.
Thank you, Madam President. The superintendent recommends that the personnel listed on the attached sheet I'm sorry, I am in the wrong area. Give me a second. Yes, the superintendent recommends that the personnel listed on the attached sheet as discussed in executive close be promoted and or appointed.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Howell.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Mr. Morgan?
Aye.
Ms. Pulliam?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Ms. McDermott?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
And Ms. Schalheim?
Aye.
And Ms. Dent?
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item 6.02, personnel.
Yes, Madam President. Thank you, Madam President. The superintendent recommends that the board approve the actions as stipulated on the attached sheets.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Howell?
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Mr. Morgan?
Aye.
Ms. Pulliam?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Ms. McDermott?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Ms. Shawheim?
Aye.
And Ms. Dent.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Okay. Next up is item 6.03, Maryland General Assembly, items of legislation. Ms. Wilson?
Thank you. Ms. Wilson will come up and provide a item of legislation update to the board and the community.
Thank you, Dr. Bedell. Good afternoon, President Dent, Vice President Pulliam, and members of the board. For the record, I'm Grace Wilson, Director of Legislation and Policy. There are a number of bills in the items of legislation exhibit before you this afternoon. One, Senate Bill 375 is recommended for a board vote. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions you may have on the bills in the legislative exhibit or recommended positions.
Dr. Tobin?
Thank you. So I have several things I want to touch on. Is it okay if I proceed?
Please, all at one time.
Okay. So with regard to the first Senate Bill 0375 that you just mentioned, Ms. Wilson, I would like to assert my support for opposing this because of all the things that are laid out quite clearly, I believe, in the discussion here with regard to local control and other issues. But I also want to suggest that there's a sort of larger issue at stake here, which is too often I find that there is reactionary legislation to the topic du jour, I will call it. And I do not mean by saying that to dismiss the importance of artificial intelligence, but I'm not sure legislation of this type is nimble enough, quite frankly, to address the issue. I foresee, should it pass, that it will actually be counterproductive because it would provide layers of needed maneuvering and response to actually deal with what I think is going to be incredibly fast-moving changes. And there is dispute right now in many knowledgeable circles as to how we're reacting to AI and what it is we're focusing on as the problem and what it is we may well be missing. And so I would just suggest that's to my colleagues that is my view of this issue. I think it takes all of us down a potentially difficult and counterproductive path. So I would just like to add that for the record. Now I have a few bills I just want to ask you some questions about. So House Bill 0812, which is about issues around student fights.
Yes.
I'm just pulling it up here. I just want to sort of ask about the decision to take no position, only because often this kind of thing suggests a usurpation of local authority. So I'd just like to hear a little more about the thinking behind this.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question, Dr. Tobin. So in discussion with staff on this bill, we felt that we are already in alignment with the requirements of the bill to investigate any sort of conflict that happens within our schools and then to appropriately discipline those students. And I will say that this is also consistent with the board's position on similar legislation last year.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's helpful. I also want to ask you about House Bill 1043, which is referred to as the so-called right to play. Again, I would like to understand a little bit about no position on this, because it is my understanding that if we were, well, let me back up. Our funding comes from enrollment, correct?
Correct.
So if we have students who are homeschooled, who presumably, for whom we do not receive funding, participating in athletics in our schools, presumably we are expending resources for those students. So I'm just curious as to the no position.
Absolutely. Everything you shared is correct, Dr. Tobin. And in the past, we have opposed legislation such as this because it was mandating. The legislation as introduced this year is authorizing the board to allow homeschool students to participate if you so choose to. So because it's authorizing and not mandating, we're recommending a no position on the bill this year.
So it does still leave it to the LEA to determine
correct
if they are going to do that.
And quite frankly, the legislation is unnecessary because the local board would have the authority to do so under their jurisdiction currently. It's more of a message bill, in my opinion.
I mean, that is always, I mean, frankly, and this is,
bless you.
This is beyond, in some ways, the specifics of arguing for the legislation. I am always concerned when something like this passes that it gives the impression of an imprimatur from the state legislation that basically says, well, we want you to do this, or we think it's a good thing. And so I'm just going to say for the record that I think it's a sketchy path to go down. And we've had fairly robust discussions on this dais about this kind of notion. And I remain concerned that there is not appropriate recognition of the very source of public education funding and the extent to which even authorizing a local school board, which, as you say, is in and of itself unnecessary, but to the extent to which it appears to take that out of the hands, in some sense, of those at the local level, and authorize, in that sense, use of public funds for non-public students. So, again, that's a separate issue, I understand, from discussion of the particulars with the legislators, but that is my concern.
Absolutely, Dr. Tobin. And to your point, the board does have language in that legislative program that opposes homeschool students participating in our extracurricular activities. So we will certainly keep an eye on this bill as it moves. And if it does switch to be a mandating bill, we will certainly then voice our opposition and get involved in this conversation.
Okay, thank you very much. Finally, I would like to move to House Bill 1463, which is the bill regarding a constituent services position for this Board of Education. Sorry, I'm scrolling through the many bills that the legislature continues to
Page
produce.
18 of your legislative exhibit, if it's helpful.
So I would like you to take us through, if you would, I mean, I know it's written here, but again, for the record, the logic behind a position to oppose this.
Absolutely. So this bill has been in for the past 2 years in addition to this introduction. In the past, it has been more egregious in that it mandated certain salaries and certain qualifications for a constituent services liaison for the Board of Education. However, the bill as introduced this year still does mandate that the Board of Education hire a constituent services liaison. And that, in my opinion, is contrary to the board's adopted legislative program positions on local control and unfunded mandates. Should the legislature pass this bill, the the school board would be required to hire and fund an individual to conduct constituent services. You already have the authority to do so, and you have included such language in your budget bills in the past in order to attempt to fund those positions, and it has not been funded. So I would urge the board here not to give up the local control on this issue, because it may be a slippery slope from there to, from a constituent services position to other positions that the board must hire or fund.
So I want to dig into the local control issue as regards the board. It's my understanding that the creation of the public education system in Maryland essentially goes back to the state constitution, correct? And the creation of the Board of Education and the structures around it live in state law, basically, in the education article.
Correct.
Am I correct about that? So given all of that, is it not the case that the decision to create an elected board for this county was in fact a result of state law?
Correct.
Okay. So that is a case where the state legislature essentially mandated that change.
Yes.
Is it not also the case that the state legislature also determines what we are paid?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So that's a mandate that they make about the budget and the pay for board members. So I guess it would seem to me to follow from that the state legislature has the authority to mandate a position that they believe is necessary for the Board of Education that is created in state law, that they have determined is elected, that they have determined is to be paid a certain amount, that they have the power to determine if there is a position that they believe is required for that board to do their job, which would be in this case a constituent services position.
Correct. That's typically done in concert with the local board, though.
Okay. I mean, as I'm sure you're aware, Ms. Wilson, this board has tried the other path. Our funders are not forthcoming, even though they all have constituent services folks. But I guess if I'm following the logic here, we come back to a place where we're questioning the state's authority even to create an elected board, that's paid, not much, but paid. And I understand on the one hand the slippery slope argument. Here is my concern. The Board of Education exists as a very essential part of the mechanism of the democratic oversight process. And, you know, just to go back all the way down to the ground, a decision has been made, a correct one, in my opinion, that unlike the executive of the county, for example, or other positions, you do not have people run for the job of superintendent, because that would not be appropriate to the position. You need someone with educational expertise to be in that job. Because of that, you need democratic oversight of that position. That is not what the county council performs, for example, because their executive is elected. The Board of Education performs a very different function because we have the the person who oversees the agency that accounts for half the county budget and various other critical things, needs that oversight. And because we are elected by the public, and the voters deserve that kind of transparency, a constituent services person, I think, is critical to us performing our function. That's my view. And again, the purpose of constituent services is not to serve us. It is to serve the public. And it is a very different job than the work of our current executive assistant, whose job it is to run the office and facilitate the office of the Board of Education. So for the public, the county council has a position that oversees the functioning of the county council. That is not the same position as the those who do the constituent services, reach out to the constituents and so forth. So I think we also have to keep that in mind. I think we are talking about two very different things, and we are talking about a need that's very high for the public to have someone whose job is tied directly to the Board of Education to walk constituents through, as all constituent services folks do in all other offices, which is a file is opened when that constituent contacts the office, and it is closed only when the final resolution happens. And finally, let me just add that the Board of Education is in a different position from county council members or state delegates in the following way. We are all prevented from getting deep into advocating for our individual constituents because we also serve as an appellate body. And so we face the problem of choosing between, do I advocate for this constituent, knowing full well that should an appeal come before us on this same case, I would have to recuse myself and therefore not be able to be one of the voices on the decision that's finally made. And so I would argue that a constituent services position, which as it now stands, would be one for all 8 of us, as opposed to the county council, who each have a constituent services person. I would argue it is even more necessary for a Board of Education to have a constituent services, as do others. I believe Howard County, they call it an ombudsman. They have one. This is not an unusual position. These positions already exist. So this board, this delegation would not be asking for anything that has not already occurred. And so I just want to state my views of this. I thank you for your time, Ms. Wilson. I understand your argument, but I think we are talking, the board is in a different position here. And I think we need to recognize that we come out of state authority to a large degree. And in this case, this is a different situation than telling a superintendent directly who to hire in his staff. This is a different situation. And I, at the appropriate moment, Madam President, I will have a motion. Thank you very much.
If I may respond to that, Dr. Tobin, I just wanted to note for you that similar to the county boards of education, the state constitution has also established our legislatures, both the House and the Senate, but it does not dictate within those what kind of staffing they have. Similarly with our county council established by county code, but does not dictate what kind of staffing support those. And that just allows them local flexibility and governance that I could see the board could potentially give up here should you want a different board want a different position in the future.
Ms. Shawhan?
Yeah, I respectfully disagree. I appreciate everything that Dr. Tobin just stated, but scampering down this road won't lead us to a good place because we value our local control. And so then what is preventing, under the same logic that, well, we were established by the state and we're paid by the state, and they, well, not paid by the state, where the pay is established, the level of pay is established by the state. And now there's this person that I realize most of the board has been trying to, via our usual channels, trying to get funded. And remember, it wasn't put in this year's budget. It could have easily been put in this budget by any one of y'all, you know, in the amendment process. Could have very easily been done that way. Could have been put in either as an advance amendment or, as we saw, the night of. And that didn't happen, and budgets don't roll over year in that way, not with stuff that isn't sort of baked into the superintendent's side of the house and what he wants to do. So are we then saying that any number of other bills in this legislative program or previous ones with the same logic would then be acceptable? Like the ones to set up for, and I agree with you, by the way, about non-public students utilizing public funds, or any, I mean, you can tell it's an election year. I'll just leave it there. Like it's the whole gamut in an election year, and there's a million different AI. So by the same logic, then we would be okay with that, all of them, right? Because we were established by the state, and the state also determines our pay. So I have to disagree on this. I know this would have passed on a 7-1, probably, with reading the room, had it been amended into this. And yes, I'm the lone dissenting voice on this, and I've always been the lone dissenting voice. I think our executive assistant and her assistant do a phenomenal job of, part of their job is constituent services. I also knew what I signed up for. And yes, sometimes emails fall through the cracks, but not many. And so like, I just knew. So I just don't want us to use that logic and then have it bite us, you know, because it could really bite us if we say, yes, please tell us who to hire and for what, because then they're going to say, oh, well, because you did that, we're now going to be able to tell you what to teach and who else to hire and what else our kids are doing within the time that they spend with Anne Arundel County Public Schools. So I really worry about motioning to change because I can see where this is going, our position on this bill, or any other that doesn't fall squarely within the guides of our legislative program, which we as a board approve every single year. Every single year since I've been on this body, we've had a legislative program that has been adamantly opposed to getting rid of local control and adamantly opposed to unfunded mandates. We are in a very tight budget year. We know this. We're all well aware of this. We're lucky we're not laying people off or doing things that we have read in the paper that other school systems have to do this year. And so I take issue with first violating our legislative program, because then what else are we going to then do in coming board meetings, which goes against an action that the whole board took. And so I'm deeply concerned. I'm deeply concerned about the message this sends to the public. Hey, we're so strapped, we can't do X, Y, and Z for you, but we're going to spend whatever it is on this other person who is not in front of students every day. So I can see where this is headed. Obviously, I'm a no on this. I just ask you all to think about what we voted on last August, or was it August? September, and the legislative program, and every other year. And then I know you guys want a constituent services person, and that's great. Like, continue, as other members of this body have said, our job is to advocate for that, right? Our job is to put it in the budget and then advocate for that. That's what was said on February 18th over and over and over again. That's the way we get our funding. We won't get a penny for this. And now we're opening the door, we're cracking the door open to saying, we're okay with not having full local control. We're okay with unfunded mandates. Like, we're going to be okay when you come up with some bat crazy piece of legislation, whatever it is, an election year, not an election year, like, oh, I guess we're going to have to be okay with that because we were stood up by the state. So I hope we can see that this is the wrong path to take, respectfully.
Ms. Pulliam.
Okay, so I hit my button based on Dr. Tobin's comments, but now after hearing my colleague, Ms. Schoenheim, I just want to recognize that this was in the legislative agenda for the last 2 years, and I personally did not look at it to see if it wasn't there. I didn't realize that it was removed. So I just want to make sure that this bill. I also want to go back to the support that we do have, and it is excellent. But as it relates, it's almost like the comparison with the county council. They have an administrative officer that does the inside of the business of the board. That's exactly what we have here. But what we don't have is someone who is out there advocating, an externally facing person who is able to really assist us and go and start looking at each of these issues. We don't have that. And because we can't go too far, these people think that we really don't care. And it really is a bad message. The board has evolved. Before it was a non-elected board. Now we are an elected board, and we have a different level of accountability. And we've talked about that. And I will tell you, there are times we're in this meeting right here, and emails are coming in, and they're timely emails. So I do believe this is something that we need. It's the right step in the right direction. But I do want you to know, I did not realize that this was not in the legislative agenda. So, but I do support this.
We absolutely have a process for getting constituents what they need, and it's called the log. An email comes in, it's about X, Y, or Z concern, and we send it to to Ms. Howell and Ms. Money, and it goes to the log, and then the appropriate staff person responds to that. That's also in alignment with the superintendent's contract, that we send concerns to him, and that is the mechanism we have to do that. When we open this door, we crack open this door, it's going to flood open with every other thing under the sun that we should or should not do. And then what exactly is the point of us being elected at that point? And we weren't just elected. We were elected. We first became a hybrid board, appointed and elected in 2018. And so for a while now, we've known how this has worked. And I know that some of us haven't been on as long as others, but like, I just think that this is the wrong move. I also wanted Ms. Wilson to state unequivocally that unfunded mandates and all this stuff have been in the legislative program every year. It comes before us. It used to come before us and we had to vote on it in the same meeting. That was years back. Now, in recent years, it's come before us as a review item, giving us extra weeks, plural, to read it, comprehend it, ask questions about it, et cetera, before we vote on it every fall. So you're saying it was pulled out or something? I just wanted, that was kind of confusing to me.
Ms. Pulliam, I believe you're referring to the budget itself as opposed to the legislative program, which to Ms. Schauheim's point has stated that the board opposes unfunded mandates and any infringement upon local control in the past.
That's
So
correct.
clarity for the record.
And it wasn't pulled out of the budget. The budget is a different budget every year. You have the FY24 budget, the FY25, FY26, FY27. So if you have an amendment that goes in, say in the FY24 budget, and it hits the cutting room floor with the county executive's office, it does not automatically roll into the next year's budget. So even though we might have had this in past budgets, and we have plural past budgets, it does not mean at all ever that it goes automatically into the next year's budget. It wasn't in this year's budget because we didn't put it there. Any one of us could have made an amendment to have done that, either on the night on February 18th or posted it publicly for the whole world to see prior to that. It didn't happen. I don't know why it didn't happen. We have one page in the book under board office that lays out what's in our budget as a board office. It wasn't in the budget. We can't get funded what we do not ask for. But doing it this way is also the wrong way. Because we have the county executive, it goes from us, the county executive, to the county council, okay? So I don't know where the confusion started with things not rolling over, but they never roll over. And we had lots of time to review the budget, to read through that book, to develop amendments, to put them in front of the body. I would have shot this one down, as I always have. It would have passed on a 7-1 and it would have gone to the county executive just like that.
Ms. McFarland.
Yes, I do want to thank the delegates who brought this forward because they're thinking of us and what we need and that we have advocated it in the budget in the past and have not gotten it. I'm kind of back and forth on this one because I personally, coming onto this board when I first learned about this, because I came on and we went right into budget season. And so I had to learn pretty quickly about what the pros and cons of constituent services were. And at that point, I thought, well, I don't really need one. I want to be the person for my people. But then you do start to realize that there's a lot of things we can't do because of our quasi-judicial role. And that this could be something that could help our community. And in listening to other board members from other districts, we all have different experiences based on our district. So I can see how this could be helpful. The sticking point for me is just how to go about it. I don't like the mandate. I don't like being mandated to do it. I wish we could get it passed in the budget and maintain that control as a board. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to vote on this yet, but I don't love being mandated to have it in case there's a time when we or a future board feels it's not needed or that we don't have it in the budget. But I do think it's something we should continue to advocate for on some level.
Thank you. Ms. McDermott.
Just one quick question. How many times have we requested this in the budget formally previously?
I'm aware of at least 2 previous years, but Mr. Stansky, 3 or 4?
3 or 4 years. Never gotten it. No. Okay. Got it. Thanks.
And Dr. Tobin.
Thank you. So I want to be clear about something. I think the issue of whether or not this is in the budget is a different issue from whether or not the state has the authority to do this. Look, I'm an old philosophy professor. If we follow the logic all the way down that I understand is being used, then the state had no authority to determine our pay. That's an unfunded mandate. And I presume it would have been opposed. We already operate, this is my point, and we need to be clear about it. We already operate in a very weird double way. The board is the governing body of this system. It is not the system. Okay, let's be clear about that. That's a different thing. We need what we need to do our jobs as the governing body of this system, not as employees of the system, not as staff who report to Dr. Bedell, not as any of that. And so that is where we are going to have to recognize and be clear about the fact that it's not a simple one-size-fits-all here. This should not, and in my opinion, I have all the arguments lined up for why I would not support it in any way, opening the door to all the things Ms. Schalheim has suggested, which I understand, because we're already in this position. And to then tie the hands of the board, because we're in that position, which, by the way, ties the hands, in my experience, based on my district that I represent, of getting help for a lot of my constituents who need it, who need that person who stands outside the system. I believe, I may be incorrect, that we are required to have an internal auditor. There is a reason that that position reports to the board, not to the superintendent. And so the result is that we have certain things that must stand outside the system. When we log something, or when a board member asks our executive assistant to send something to the superintendent's log, that is not the same as a constituent services person's response in a legislative office, in a county council office. The job of the constituent services person is to take that case, and it is a case, and walk it through and make sure if there's a roadblock, there's a response to that roadblock. We cannot do that. We should not do that. Our executive assistant should not do that. That would not be appropriate for her to do. Therefore, we need someone who can do that for our constituents. And that is my concern here. And the truth is, I have heard over and over from funders, for all the reasons, again, that have already been cited, that it's a bad budget year, I'm not spending money on something that adds to your staff. I never hear, and I'm not suggesting that this should happen, it's a bad year, we're removing some of the constituent services positions in these other places. I never hear that. I'm not trying to get anybody out of a job, I'm just saying that is never the answer to the bad budget year. And so I feel we have to understand, A, that the Board of Education fills a very different position, that this is a different position, and that, quite frankly, the legislature is doing this because my understanding is they believe we need it. They believe we're not going to get it from our funders. And they believe because of their position, having created essentially this board and wanting to make sure it has what it needs to do its job, this is what's left. And so that is, and I don't think, I would not choose this as the first path, but I have to look my constituents in the face and say that I'm doing everything to make sure that they get what they need. And so I would like at this time to make a motion to change the board's position on House Bill 1463 from oppose to support. Thank you.
Second.
All right, the motion is on the floor. I will go with any discussion. We'll start off with, wow, I'd like to lighten up. Mr. Silkworth.
Thank you, Madam President. So Mr. Stansky reminds us that this was in the budget for 3 to 4 years, and all of those years were not determined to be slim years in terms of the budget. So there was plenty of money, but it was not funded. So what matters most? Think about that. What matters most? Control or meeting the needs of the students that we all represent? And in my mind, what Dr. Tobin just outlined is absolutely critical. My lens focuses on anything and everything which will allow us to enhance chances for our students to belong, grow, succeed, regardless of their zip code. This means making sure that we help and provide the needed resources to all of our students and our families. Help provide the resources. I will tell you, in my district and in the district in which I taught, there are many families that had big time problems. And one of the problems they had was they did not have the wherewithal to access the resources which are out there. I'm not worried about the control issue. This will help ensure that we do provide resources to every single one of our students who need it. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Mr. Morgan.
I'll join the light party. Thank you, Madam President. Quickly, the reason that I'll be, supporting this, and one thing I constantly have, I have a good perspective on, coming from a background of going from not being involved to, in this chair in only a matter of a couple of years, is that the biggest thing for that I think a constituent service liaison would do for me, as written in the synopsis, is act as the liaison between the board members and assist in accessing the services and understanding the process. Because when I tell you that the majority of students in our county have no idea who any of us are, including myself, and I'm very active, one of the most active, and so most have no idea who we are. The majority of families have no clue what the 3-reader process would mean, have no clue how policies work, have no clue what policies are going on. So to have someone in the community, especially at a time right now where so many students I see, families I see, are losing trust in the democratic process, to have someone who's there and allowing families to be informed on how this process works, who we are, how they can contact us, I think is vital, especially right now in ever-changing world in public education. So that's why I will be supporting this.
Thank you, Michelle Hunt.
I knew where this was headed, and I know where the vote's going to go. I can read a room pretty well. What I ask you all to consider is, what I ask you all to remember would be the words you've said today when another less savory bill comes before us, and then they use the logic, but you supported this other bill. Because, and I understand, Dr. Tobin, I understand your passion about this. We've had conversations about this over the years. We represent 2 different parts of this county. I'm not throwing shade here. What I am saying is we have a legislative program for a reason. We should all remind ourselves what's in that and consider if that's what we want it to be. Do we want it to be the same next year? Or do we want to give away the farm? Or what do we want to do? Because as a body, that comes before us every year. Just remember all the words when they come back with something less savory and say, well, you kicked the door open with this one. Sorry, not sorry. We're just going to ram through something else. Regardless of the fact that you're an elected board, regardless of the fact that you were put there by the voters, regardless of the fact that you have all these really important duties to keep the school system moving towards greatness. You were okay with this, and so I mean, did y'all read the rest of the legislative packet, or the ones previous to this, or the ones in previous years? I see where this is headed. I'm obviously not going to support it, and I just ask you to remember it and use the same passion next time when they try to weave into our lane, because it is a different lane than theirs. And we're not going to have much to stand on other than, we don't want an unfunded mandate. We want to maintain local control, which is very important, by the way. I think you should know that, all your years with the school system, and what it means when we don't have that. And I just hope we're able to climb those mountains when they come.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Mr. Silkworth.
So I would just respond. I completely understand Ms. Schauheim's her opinions. I respect it absolutely. But this is one bill. Again, what matters most. I am not worried that if I support this, that I'm going to give up control of something in the future. I'm not worried about that. I was elected to make decisions based upon what I think is in the best interest of our students and their families. And so once again, what matters most in my mind, what Dr. Tobin had outlined earlier is critical. Again, the control thing. I completely understand what Ms. Schauheim is saying, and I'm not giving up anything in the future. I'm talking about one bill here that will, I think, very positively impact so many families and students in AACPS in a positive way that will absolutely help them belong, grow, and succeed. So, thank you.
Ms. Dent, if I may.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Before the board votes, I do want to provide some clarity because I've heard differing comments made on this. This bill does not require that the county executive or the county council funds this position. It simply means that the board has to hire someone to do this work. So you may still find yourself in a difficult position where you are looking at what to cut in order to fund this, since it has not been included in the budget. I just want that to be clear.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. So before we get to that, as always, I like to listen. I like to hear. So when I came to Anne Arundel County, weirdly enough, it was 2017. And the biggest buzz that I heard from everyone was the fact that there was going to be an elected board. And I spoke with a lot of people, as you know, I lived in the political space. And I heard the pros and cons of why the board did not need to go through the process of electing board members to serve as board members. And one of their continuous issues was why they wanted to do it is because the appointments limit the coverage across the county. And so many the board members that was appointed at the time represented segments, not necessarily each of the 7 districts. And so it became a situation to where many of the constituents and the people that was interested in this board becoming a fully elected board, their concern is that the appointed board did not represent the whole county as a whole. And I really couldn't grasp that concept until I really looked at the locations of where the board members that was appointed was coming from. And so I thought, wow, why couldn't they just did appointments by each district so that they could be represent the entire district as a whole? And over again, I heard that comment, which drives me insane. That's the way it's always been. And so my reason for sharing that with you is that I don't for 1 minute believe that the elected body was the wrong decision. I absolutely believe that the way we are elected right now and the way we are operating is the right decisions for all constituency across Anne Arundel County. And I think it has made us not only a better board, I think it has made us a stronger board in the community and how the community see AACPS. And so my reason for supporting the constituency services and advocating for the constituency services position is not because we don't have an amazing executive staff. We do. We absolutely have an amazing executive staff. But my conflict always comes from I am in the commissary or out and about, and I get a constituent that tells me their whole story. And when they tell me this, I almost cringe because I know that it's probably gonna have to go to the full board, and then I have to recuse myself. And I have to recuse myself, and then I have to go back when the board make a decision that we all have to honor. And the first thing the person said, well, I came to you. Yeah, you came to me, but I tried to explain to you then that I have to recuse myself from these decisions that are being made. It is so much easier for me to say, and I do this, stop, here's what I need for you to do. I need you to email the board office so that we can try to get your situation resolved. What happens then is this real chain of events. We figure out what direction it needs to go in, who's it need to go to, and then it becomes over and over again. Just as late as today, I've sent this situation to 2 board members already because the individual was in one jurisdiction, they were awarded the out of area transfer, they got into another jurisdiction, so now I have 3 board members. We're praying, and we're often doing this, that situation doesn't come to the board because now 3 board members have to recuse themselves from that situation, and now it has to go to state. So we think about this in the most simplest terms, is that constituency services is not necessarily about supporting all the board members. It is so all the board members has a better relationship with the constituents that they serve. And that's why I want the support. I want the support not because I don't have time to email board members, but I do think that there is an appreciation of consolidating how to navigate this complex system that we live in here. And so for me, I understand that all of the reasons about the delegation, Anne Arundel County delegation, bringing this bill forward. I understand the unfunded mandate, but I can tell you that this is the first thing that comes to my mind when I think about Anne Arundel County delegation. In my tenure, they have always supported the decisions of the board. They've always honored and respected the things that both Dr. Bedell or any other board members have brought forward to them. And if anything, they've been a strong advocate of supporting the things that we do. And so I don't want to give them the perception that somehow or another I don't have the trust and belief that they are, or we are in moving path in the same direction when it comes to making AACPS, and using Dr. Bedell's words, going from good to great. And I want to make sure that the Anne Arundel County delegation understands that. And it doesn't somehow or another take away my power by me supporting this House bill. It does not. What it does is tells me that when the makers of this in 2018 started it, it's new to us. It was a new process. And so we know that there are things that are going to be in place when you make new processes. And so I support this for a numerous of reasons. And I think that it does another step in the right direction of making this board, as an elected board and an elected body, have all of the supports and services that's required of an elected body. And so with that, I was about to turn it over to Dr. Tolan for final comments as the motion maker, but Ms. Pulliam.
I would just like to add, our constituents don't care about the funded mandate. They just know when they call their elected official, whether it's a delegate, a state senator, a county council person, that there's someone there to answer. and to follow a case all the way through. There's somebody there, and they come to us, and our process is much different. It is. And it's definitely not personal. It's not, when I say that, I mean, we don't have that relationship with our community. We really are once removed, unlike any other elected official, any other. County council, they have someone to look at their appeals. They have someone to a legislative aid and full-time and gets paid really good money. They have somebody to serve on every committee, and they focus just on the business. And I will tell you, we serve, unlike them, we serve all three levels of the government. So for us, we literally are one step removed, and our constituents, they really don't understand why is it that the very most precious thing that we have in this county are our children, and we cannot give them the same level of service that others get when they call any other elected official. And that's just too much to go through. And actually, it sounds like we're making up excuses. So I know that this is not something that you're not used to hearing, Ms. Wilson, but I will tell you, with the 85,000 students that we have, the parents, the mama bears, they don't care. And so that's just what I'd like to add.
All right, with no more lights, Dr. Tobin, I will give you final comments as the motion maker.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Ms. Wilson, for everything. I just want to respond to your comment about the potential for having to now hire a position with no funding. The truth is, again, that happened when a decision was made to fund board members pay them. I have argued today, and I will continue to argue, that this is the expense of governance, which in and of itself is the expense of a democratic process. That is crucial. That is a need. That's not, in my mind, negotiable. And I do believe at a time when public education is facing many headwinds, it is especially important to attend to that, to have the bandwidth to attend to it, and to be quite honest, the tougher the budget gets, the more we're going to need a constituent services person. That is the reality. The choices are going to get harder and more limited. And so, again, I want to be clear in my mind, and I think it's what I've heard from a number of other board members. This is about serving the constituents we represent. This is not about serving the board. This is about enabling the board to do the job we are elected to do, to maintain the lines between our quasi-judicial role, our legislative role, and our executive role, which, again, unlike any other elected body, we fulfill all three of those roles, and we represent overwhelmingly people who can't vote, children. And we represent a lot of families in a number of districts, certainly in mine, with very high needs, who do not have the time, or in some cases the experience, to know how to work through a very complex system. And we owe it to them to offer at least this one position that gives us the opportunity to, as Ms. Dent said, we've all been encountered in the grocery store or wherever, to know that there is a way that these complex cases can be supported through the system. And it is finally part of our job of oversight, which is critical. That oversight is good for Dr. Bedell and it is good for us. It makes sure that there is no confusion about this, that everybody's able to do their job, do it appropriately, and we don't cross the lines that shouldn't be crossed. So with that, I thank Ms. Wilson. I thank my colleagues for listening and entertaining my motion. And I would ask respectfully that you support it. Thank you very much.
Okay, I see no more lights. And so Dr. Tobin's motion was properly seconded by whom? Mr. Morgan? Okay, Ms. Howe.
Dr. Tobin moved to change the board's position regarding House Bill 1463, Anne Arundel County Board of Education Constituent Service Liaison Establishment, from opposed to support. Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Mr. Morgan?
Aye.
Ms. Pulliam?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Ms. McDermott?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Ms. Schallheim?
Nay.
And Ms. Dent?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-1.
Thank you. And with that, Dr. Bedell.
Thank you, Madam President. Just my remarks will be real quick and short. I think I've heard several board members allude to this, that this is not an indictment on staff. And I want to make sure as a staff member working alongside these people that folks don't think that this is some level of non-confidence in this board and the work that our staff members are doing, because I think what will happen is people will try to field what they think this may mean with voids of I think negativity. And I just want to make sure, and I would say to our board and to our staff in this community, I think our school district is thriving. I think if you go and look at every single metric since we've all come together, this board and this administration, we're in a much better place right now in Anne Arundel County. I do understand what the board members are saying around their scope of responsibility and being able to make sure that they have the ability to respond to constituents in a timely manner. I just want to make sure that I say that to the folks in the workforce. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bedell. All right, next up is,
Excuse me.
Yeah.
We need to approve the legislation or the items of legislation as amended.
oh, okay. Could I get a motion to approve the items of legislation as amended?
Motion to approve items of legislation as amended.
Second.
All right, I see no discussion. Ms. Howell?
Ms. McFarland? Aye. Mr. Morgan?
Aye.
Ms. Pulliam?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Ms. McDermott?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Ms. Schallheim?
Nay.
Ms. Dent?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-1.
Thank you. All right, next up is item 6.04. Give me 1 second, Dr. Bedell. Item 6.04 is on the amended. It is the Unit 4 SAAC Terms of Employment for FY 2026. Dr. Bedell.
Thank you, Madam President. We will have Melissa Ross to take us through this update, but I want to go ahead and submit the superintendent's recommendation. The superintendent recommends approval of the updated terms of employment for Unit 4 employees for fiscal year 2026.
So moved.
Wait, hold it.
Good afternoon, Ms. Dent, Ms. Pulliam, members of the board. My name is Melissa Rawls, Executive Director for Employee Relations and Leadership Advancement. The negotiated agreement between the Secretaries and Assistants Association of Anne Arundel County, otherwise known as SAAC, and the Board of Education of Anne Arundel County, also known as the board, expired June 30th, 2025. During FY26 negotiations, SAAC and the board reached tentative agreement on revisions to 3 provisions of their 2025 through 2028 negotiated agreement, including Article 11, Section 11.2 concerning workers' compensation, Article 15, Section 15.1 regarding annual salaries, and Article 17 updating the term of the agreement to run 3 years through June 30th, 2028. They also agreed to add a new article that establishes a Unit 4 joint staffing level committee. In addition, following negotiations, mediation, and arbitration pursuant to Section 6-507E of the Education Article, Maryland Code Annotated, the Maryland Public Employees Relation Board, also known as PERB, on February 25th, 2026, issued Decision and Order PERB 1-2026-01, which selected and adopted the complete final offer of the Board of Education. Pursuant to the law, PERB's decision is final and binding on both the board and SAAC. Therefore, the following terms or revised terms will be incorporated in the Unit 4 negotiated agreement. Article 4, Section 4.1b, duty days. Revised language as follows. Full-time clerical, technical, and secretarial employees assigned to schools shall be on duty on all days when central offices are open, except the days when schools are closed for pupils during the winter and spring breaks. Number 2, Article 4, Section 4.6, emergency closing. Delete allotment of up to 2 Code Blue days to 12-month Unit 4 school-based employees for which they are not required to work. Number 3, Article 5, which is new, interactions with students. Require appropriate and professional interactions by Unit 4 employees with students at all times, whether in person, via phone, or any digital platform. Number 4, Article 13, holidays. Add President's Day as a holiday. And secondly, add language that during winter and spring breaks, school, clerical, technical, secretarial, and teacher assistant employees shall neither work nor receive additional leave or compensation beyond negotiated paid holidays when schools are closed and teachers are not on duty. Unless otherwise specified, all of these negotiated and adjudicated changes are effective July 1st, 2025, and consistent with them, the superintendent will take the necessary action to implement the Unit 4 agreement and to update the overview of benefits and terms of employment that is posted on the AACPS website. Thank you.
All right, the superintendent has recommended approval of the updated terms of employment for Unit 4 employees for FY26. Can I get a motion to second it?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Ms. Howell?
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Mr. Morgan?
Aye.
Ms. Pulliam?
Aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Ms. McDermott?
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Ms. Schallheim?
Aye.
Ms. Dent?
All right,
Motion passes 8-0.
thank you, Ms. Wilson. Thank you, Dr. Bedell. Next up is item 7.01, award of contracts. The next meeting is going to be, the general board meeting is on Wednesday, March 18th, 2026, at 6:30 p.m. And our policy committee is Tuesday, March the 3rd, 2026, and the budget, which will be at 3 o'clock virtually. The budget committee will be held on Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. So with that being said, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, everybody.